What is up, everybody? Welcome into reality after shows coverage of Big Brother 27. I'm your host, Bobby Goodsby, as always, joined by my good friend and star of Deal or No Deal Island Season 2. Yes, I said it correctly this time. Phillip Solomon. Phillip, how you doing tonight, bud?
I am good, dude. I'm here. It has been quite a week of Big Brother. I finally got around to watching K-pop Demon Hunters. Not bad. I didn't hate it. I thought I was going to hate it. I did not hate it.
My daughter is obsessed with that movie, and our whole ride home from my parents' house, which was 5 hours, we listened to that soundtrack like 10 times. I'm not even kidding.
I mean, for children, it's inspirational. I'll take it.
The songs are bangers, not gonna lie.
I think they're like every time.
They're like number one on the top 100 chart right now too. It's crazy. But we have another guest to get to, Lauren Pratt. Lauren from reality after shows coverage of Squid Game, Big Brother, Survivor content. Lauren, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
I'm fantastic. What a week for me to come in for this podcast. I'm telling you, finally we got some, not to say we haven't gotten great content, but this is the Ava HOH is exactly what I needed on my list.
Man,
I mean, we got great content. I don't want to overshoot. We didn't get good
gameplay,
skill and play. We didn't get good gameplay, but we did get good content. That's fair.
Well, let's be clear. Have we gotten any good gameplay this season?
No, as long as we're all on the same page on that. As long as we're all aware the gameplay hasn't started yet. Okay, great.
But it's entertaining. And that's what I mean in a Big Brother season. So I'm happy with it. But I can't believe, well, we'll get into it. I have many opinions on so many different people, but my goodness, it was a miss for a lot.
Yeah, and obviously we had the standard Penelope shout out. She came over here to get her screen time in like she does every week. So
we love her,
Penelope. So let's get into this week. What a week it was. I'm convinced no one in this entire house knows how to play this game. Like, even Rachel, to an extent, has been frustrating me with some of her gameplay, but she's probably the most complete player, as she should be, being the only veteran in the house. No one knows how to play. It's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like we should have known where the week was going to go, where they were like, does anyone want to volunteer to go next? And we're all like, what's happening right now? Like, we knew the week was falling apart then. We were like, uh-oh, this is about to be bad. And it was.
Yeah, Lauren, what's your thoughts?
First off, as Rachel does say in the confessional, or the diary room, if you will, basically, the whole objective in that situation is to pin people against each other that you know would potentially nominate you if they are HOH. And the crazier thing for me is, who in the hell is volunteering? Why are you volunteering? That is the craziest part for me in total, is you actually got people that decided to volunteer. That's insane. $750,000 and you're going to volunteer? Why?
Okay, here's what I can say from being on the other side. Our grab the ring challenge was the first time that we knew the producers wanted us to amp it up, because they made us target people by like saying their name, who we were going to help or who we were going to hurt. And it seems so easy at home. This is my only way that I can defend them a little bit. It's hard to be like, I'm not working with you. Like, it's hard to actually say it out loud, even though like we know where the alliances are, but it's still hard to be like, yeah, I'm not with you. I think that every show kind of goes through this. Even if you look at Love Island, those first like few weeks where I'm like, this is weird. This is just like people making small talk. Like, no one knows actually what's happening. And I think that like this is now that last week where I think battle lines are finally drawn and now we can start to play a game. But it's hard to say someone's name out loud. I will say, though, this is a little easier because you're at least just giving people the opportunity to fail or be successful. You're not saying I'm automatically handicapping you or helping you. You're just kind of giving them the opportunity to play, which I love.
Yeah, as far as this week goes, like, I knew as soon as Ava won, we were going to have a crazy week on our hands, because she was not going to go with what the house norm had been throughout the whole season, where we see the same people up on the block each and every week. Now, granted, we still got Keanu up on the block, but we kind of knew that was coming, right? Like, that was an easy cop out for her. She's like, we got in a fight. I can use this to my advantage. And it's one more person on the block that everyone's cool with. And to Keanu's credit, like we saw in the episode, He took it really well. And I am all Team Keanu at this point, okay? Like, I am full aboard the Team Keanu train, and the guy's killing it. Like, out of anyone in this house, I really think Keanu, strangely enough, has one of the best chances to win. How do you guys feel?
I agree completely. I think that every year there is someone in the house, and this goes for almost any reality show across the board, that the cast tries to make into a villain and ironically turns them into a hero. And I was like, I don't think they know that, like, we're rooting for him right now. Like, America is like, more and more of us every week are like, Keanu has a point. He's smart. He's been figuring things out. Like, he's not, I can't say anything that man has done. Don't get me wrong. He's not amazing at reading social cues, but then again, as we see, none of them are. So, like, whatever.
He's exactly right here what Jesse Michael said, excuse me. He's the Taylor of the season.
Exactly.
Now, I will say this. Taylor was more, I think, bullied, where Keanu is more socially inept to his position in the game and how he comes across to people, that I don't think Taylor necessarily lacked. I think that she was just pinned in a corner, and then everyone just used that against her, where she was the easy house pariah early on, and it was just something that people did to not get the target put on themselves. So I think that's where the one difference is, but their games match up very similarly, except for the whole social aspect.
I'm going to argue you on that only because I want to say that they're being treated the same way, but
yes, yeah,
people that, okay, how do I put this in a non-HR violation way? Do you think that because Keanu is of a larger stature and of the male gender, they are treating him the same way? They just know that he's not willing to put up with the amount of shit that Taylor did. Does that make sense? So, like, I think it's also in knowing that, like, she is a smaller woman of color, that it's just easier to be like, beauty queen, let's pick on her. I think that they're both being picked on. I just think that, like, they thought that Taylor would crack a little easier. So I think, like, the things they're saying about Keanu when he's not in the room are just as bad. I think they just treat him a little better when he is in the room.
Yeah, to me, I just think the only difference is Keanu kind of brings it on himself by the way things he says and the things he does, that Taylor didn't necessarily bring those things upon herself. They were just kind of a cop out for other people's insecurities, where Keanu is kind of like saying the wrong thing and doing the wrong thing and being unironically himself, but also at the same time, that comes with consequences. When you say, I'm going to get each and every one of you out of this house one by one, people aren't going to like that. Taylor never did that. Taylor was just kind of bullied from the start. And I don't think that was anything of her own doing necessarily. Lauren, how do you feel?
Well, with Keanu, we also see not very good at reading the room, because you see what people are saying behind Keanu's back. For instance, I believe it was earlier in the season, Ava and Will having that conversation where Keanu's just always there and just lingers. And all of a sudden you see Keanu popping into the room that people are having the conversation. And I remember explicitly Ava sitting on the couch with Keanu and saying, I'm going to go someplace, and Keanu said, I'm going exactly where you're going. No. She's trying to actively get away from you to take a break, but you are not reading that cue. So then you're just going along with what she's going to do, but she just doesn't want to be around you 24/7, and he isn't seeing that.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to go too much on the Keanu train. Like, we saw him tonight, saved himself once again. I think that his target wasn't as big as it has been in past weeks this week, but look at the guy's killing it. He's saved himself. Okay, somewhat saved himself 5 weeks in a row. Like, there's something to be said there. And if the guy keeps doing what he's doing, people are going to realize, like, he's not just the house pariah or the house easy vote or easy put up. Now he's the guy that could possibly win this game, because he's literally had his back against the wall each and every week and has saved himself each and every week.
Yeah. Can we talk about Zach's shirt? No. Nope. Fair. No. Can we talk about the production aspect of that blockbuster competition? And I'm going to tell you why. We talked about this before. It's hard to know which competitions can work on live television and which ones cannot. That one had a big margin of error. Like, what if they all got stumped? Like, for me, that was one where I was like, are we going to try and do this on live television? Don't get me wrong. They're three kind of intelligent men, but like at the same time, you're like, bro, these three, like, I don't know what, like, what if they all just got stumped and they stood there and stared and they were like, we got to go. Like, it's a hard one to try and make them do like live television wise. No,
I agree. And if you look at that game itself, as you said, you could get stumped and nobody finishes. What's the tiebreaker? How are you ending this competition? Because you're saying these are the rules. If I'm a house guest and no one's finishing, I'm going to say, you said these are the rules. You shouldn't be able to change how the end goal is with this competition.
Now, I want to say too, when I saw this competition up there on the thing, I was like, oh, this is going to be great, because I was so for it, because I was like, there's a good chance. There's multiple competitions where we said, are they going to be able to finish in time? Like, is this something that's something's going to go wrong? And this was one that I was like, these three guys seem like they're going to get stumped on this. And watching it, it played out differently because they were able to move the piece, not just one piece over. They were able to move it wherever they wanted on the board, which I thought was kind of a cop-out, made the competition so much easier, which the fact that it lasted as long as it did blew my mind. And one other thing I want to say, Vince had this game won 4 times. Watching this back, I went back and rewatched it. Vince literally was one piece away multiple times from finishing this puzzle. And every single time he would grab the piece, go back and watch it, people. It's hilarious. He would grab the piece and move it to the wrong spot and then instantly stump himself. Like, if he literally just took it and moved it one spot over, it would click and he'd be done. And he had it. He had it at least 3 or 4 times. So, like, I was just watching him at one point, not even paying attention to the other two, and screaming at my computer monitor, being like, Vince, you have it. It's literally right in front. I don't know if it was nerves, what it was, but he literally had it, and it was hilarious to watch because I was like, this guy is just an idiot. He had it multiple times and had this done.
I think all the challenges are significantly harder when they're closer to you. And by that, I mean, like, actually physically closer to you. And I think in watching it at home, even I didn't get some of the moves they were doing until the camera panned out and I was like, oh, easy, just move that one there, that one there. But like, I think when you're right in front of them, it's almost too close. That's what I learned from any of the Survivor slide puzzles and shit like that. I'm like, it's right there. I don't understand. And I was like, I think when you're like just looking down at it, it seems much larger and more grander than it is. And sometimes you have to take a step like away from it and be like, okay, big picture. Let's think big picture here. It's hard to think big picture when it's like right there, but I do give a congratulations, kudos, shout out to production for putting this challenge on a blockbuster night. I would have definitely put this on a Wednesday because I'm like, in case this needs an edit or this needs a 3 hours later, I definitely would have been scared for this, but okay, we made it happen.
Well, too, I also saw at one point right near the end before Keanu won, second guessed and took a second to then pause and change the mind and go the correct way. And I am going to give Keanu credit because also doing that in the previous veto competition, Keanu does take his time and try and navigate through. Slow and steady does sometimes win the race, and so far it's working out for Keanu.
Keanu is like the king of slow and steady. I don't know. Maybe you could see him doing like his breath work before the competition, but he just sits there and he'll actually take his time. We saw it in the step competition where he had to light up the steps and he ended up winning the veto. He went 10 times slower than everyone else, but slow and steady wins the race. And now we've seen it happen multiple times. Is that the new MO for all these Big Brother competitions? Like, in reality, it's working out for him.
I think it's the oh God, whoever thought I was going to say this out loud? The Dragon Slayer in him. I hate the fact that I just said it. I said it though. I said it. In knowing all of those card games, all those crazy like involved games that like a lot of you guys play that I don't understand. I'm very much like I do things to get an immediate payoff. Like that's why I love like bodybuilding and weightlifting. I can lift weights for a week and look better than I did a week ago. In games like that, it's all about not what this move, but what this move is going to do to make 3 moves after make sense, if that makes sense. So it's really looking like that's how he's playing it, which like he's not just thinking right now. He's like, wait, stop. He does have that ability to, again, take a step back and be like, big picture, long term. How is this going to work? Which is ironic because socially, he can't do that. He's bad at it, but in the game, he's really good at like just physically moving things around. Totally.
Yeah, so I want to say this competition, I loved it just because I thought it could be a complete shit show where it could end completely terribly. It didn't end up that way. That competition definitely lasted way longer than it should when you can move a piece anywhere you want on the board. A lot of that's nerves, like we said. But Vince, the fact that he had it so many times just kills me, and I was screaming at my TV. I want you guys to go back and rewatch it and just watch Vince, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So let's move along. We're going to be kind of all over this place with this week because this week had a lot of moving parts. I do want to go back to the beginning of the week where we found out, the target kind of moved around multiple times. Morgan was really the big house target. Like when you watch the live feeds, the whole plan was Ava was like, I don't care what happens in the veto competition. I want Morgan up, and Morgan's going to be the one that we're going to hopefully get out of there. Like if Morgan was on the block and she didn't win Blockbuster, she would have been out. What are your guys' thoughts on Zach not using the $10,000 power on himself to take himself off to try to be this king that's never won a competition besides week 1 where he won the 10 grand, which great for him because now he at least walked away with some kind of money. But besides that, what do you guys think of him doing this and then not using the power to save himself? And then last little thing, what do you think of Julie's hit? Like a little homage to season 3 of Big Brother.
Phillip, I'll let you go first.
Don't let me do that because I walked away from Deal or No Deal Island accepting the money. So I don't know what to tell you.
No, you did great. You did exactly what you should. There's a big difference between 10K and 75K.
That's fair. But also, I do love the fact that Zach was like, if I'm going to leave and I'm going to get voted out, if I'm not going to win this game, I am certainly not going to give that girl my 10 grand. And I was like, you know what? I never thought about it that way, but it really is giving the money to whoever's in charge. And she's like, no, I'm not giving it to her. I'd rather walk out with a check. And again, to be honest, I know we are playing for a lot of money, but as I said, on Deal or No Deal Island, only one of you leaves with that money. And so the odds are he's like, you know what? I'm just going to walk away with that because I'm going to give it to Ava and then probably go home next week, the week after. And he's like, you know what? I had a good time. It was enjoyable. I got to see I got to beat an egg and a butler with a huge ass. This is a good week for me. Like I had a good time. I smiled. I laughed. Cool. Great.
So my take on this, and how hard of a hit is this for Zach, thinking and knowing that you did all this for Morgan and Morgan still voted to evict you from the game? That is such a slap in the face. You share all this knowledge and this information, and then you got nothing in return. Heck, buddy, at that point, you really have to. I know he was thinking long term, and I can give some type of credit to that because there's a lot of luck involved in these games. So say Zach does get through, still has that power, can utilize that to then project into the jury stage. So I am understanding the reasoning, but sometimes that might be the only time that you hit the block for that point in time. So you got to use your powers because everyone used their powers basically boom, boom, boom already at the beginning of this game. And especially on basically the same week, we see 2 powers go. Then the next one, we see 1 go. So people aren't wasting powers except Zach. And you see where Zach is out the door.
I'll be honest, guys. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't hate it as much as everyone else hates it. Okay. He took a chance. He's I'm a gambler. Okay. I work at a casino. I'm a gambler. I like to roll the dice and I like to bet on myself. Right. And if you think about it, and I understand we're possibly 1, maybe 2 weeks away from jury, but the difference between 10 grand now and making 10 grand in jury, because that's what they get. The stipend is 10 grand for making jury, I believe. So you're realistically taking the chance that you're doubling that money once you get to jury if you just survive another week or 2, and you're then at 20K and you're the highest juror in the game and possibly can still win the competition. Or you're taking the chance of you save yourself now, cost yourself $10,000 and possibly are voted out the next week or 2 and make no money. So I don't hate it as much as other people do because now he doesn't have to stay there till the end of the game to make the same amount of money, right? He took a chance, he bet on himself, and he didn't win. And I never have a problem with that. I think that if people are willing to do it. Now, the game player in me is like, oh, I probably wouldn't have done that. I like it. I respect it. I probably wouldn't have done that, but I can't knock him for taking a chance and betting on himself. I know a lot of people on the other podcasts that people listen to had a huge problem with it and think it was one of the dumbest moves. It was a Marcellus-like move. And obviously we saw Julie hit him on the head with the paper, just like she did almost 20 something years ago. So I totally get it. I understand why people think it's a stupid move, but I didn't hate it from my perspective as a gambler, but I wouldn't do it.
I think he genuinely thought he had the votes and the numbers. Like, I didn't think he was going, like, I didn't think in his head he had made peace with going home. I really thought he was staying. And I was like, no, baby. And here's why. As we've seen historically, all of the competitions towards the end actually get more athletic. Like, do you want, like, even though he's not doing well right now, do you want to go up against Zach when it comes to standing on the wall? Probably not. I mean, and so it's just a matter of like, he definitely was the bigger threat between the two. And I don't remember who said it. I actually don't even want to try and pretend like I remember who did. But someone said between Vince and Zach, Vince is more likely to take big swings at threat so that person wouldn't have to. And I was like, you know what? You're not wrong. I think you could convince him to take a swing at Rachel, Keanu, someone else. Where like, I don't know if you could convince Zach to do that. I don't know if you can convince Zach to do much of anything. So overall, I mean, they weren't wrong.
He took a risk and it didn't work out. So at least I will give credit for this too. He tried to play the game to utilize that for a future game potential move, and it just didn't work out for him. Now, there's other people not doing shit in the house. Yeah. So at least Zach was there trying to play the game where we have a couple
Justice for Lauren. Stop it right now.
Justice for Lauren. Lauren got maybe the most amount of screen time at the end with the eviction today, with the last segment with her and Rachel. I think that's the most we've seen Lauren aside from her HOH.
That'd be even more than her HOH week. Let's be real. Like Vince ran
if you haven't had a confessional in like 3 episodes, like that's bad. That's so bad.
Yeah. I want to hear in the chat, guys. What do you think? Would you have used the $10,000 power, or would you have bet on yourself? I want to hear in the comments below and in the chat right now what you guys think. Now, Phillip, to your point, you said a couple minutes ago, and now I'm totally blanking on what you said.
I said a lot of things. I don't know.
There was something.
I don't even know what I said anymore.
The wall competition.
Yeah.
So I get why you think, like, yes, Zach would probably be a competitor in the wall competition, but historically with the wall competition, you see these either scrawny guys that are, have less body fat, less body weight, and are people that, usually are more leaner or smaller win this competition because they have a lot less to hold up, right? Like, even though Zach's a relatively built, pretty, guy coming from a guy that's not built at all, he probably would have done well. But we see that guys that are bigger like that, like Keanu or him, or even possibly like, guys in the past that are bigger stature wise, have a lot of trouble in this competition. So I think that people see him as a threat, but I don't think necessarily that would have been more of a threat than Vince to say in that competition, because Vince is kind of the perfect body size for that kind of competition.
But Vince is also bad at everything.
It's true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
His evening of Shakespearean drama that everyone was like, I can't believe. If I could hear Will just give me the narration of this house every day, I'm good on that. Like, I was like, you know what? He is my favorite person in the diary room. As soon as he's in there, I was like, he's about to say something black as hell. I was like, yep, there we go. Every time.
So I'm dead, Phillip. After your breakdown, I would have bet on myself, wouldn't have used it. See, look, at least I moved one person to the other side.
You move the needle a little bit.
Winning right there.
My irrational thought process as a gambler is rubbing off on people. All right, so let's move along. What did you guys think of Vince's gameplay throughout the week? Now, we saw him obviously in the veto competition get second place. He was so close, almost had it, didn't end up panning out. What did you think of his gameplay? And then secondly, how great was his egg costume? I mean, it might be my favorite costume over the last 5 to 10 years. Like, the mustache, everything about it was perfect. And I know a lot of people didn't notice it on the live show, but the little stool he has, every time he sits on that stool and puts his egg head underneath and you can only see the top, I'm dying.
Well, I was dying with him trying to walk down the stairs after the blockbuster because he has his head go all the way crunched in and looking down. It was perfect one for this costume, I have to say. The thing I have an issue with, and it's not really that big of an issue, but just the desperation of begging Catherine for that veto. Oh, yes. My goodness. It didn't come across sincere at all. I really don't believe so. And also, too, you're saying that you applied and have been trying to get on the show for, I think it was 10 years.
10 years.
So what about everybody else?
Yeah.
So just because you applied for 10 years and someone applied for 6, they're just chopped liver. I don't know. But, like, come on. I'm not keeping someone because they said I applied to the show for 10 years. I'm keeping someone that's best for my game.
I mean, what was nice about that entire situation, don't get me wrong, it was super cringy and awkward, and I hit mute on it because after a while I was like, this is uncomfortable. It does show that, contrary to what we've been seeing on the live feeds, Catherine does know how to say no to a creeper every so often. So who knows? Whatever. I think, speaking of things that make me uncomfortable, I think that the egg was a solid costume. How many times per day do you wish you could just hide exactly where you are? Just like go right down to the ground and just, you know what? I'm going to have a snack in here. I'll be back in a few minutes. I was like, you know what? I don't hate that. Also, I do appreciate the veto competition. And I say that as someone who's like not super athletic, of like, I feel like it gives everyone a good opportunity to like be successful, where you're not like running and sprinting and jumping and stuff.
Someone who's not super athletic, Phillip, you literally won 75K by holding up your body weight longer than probably anyone else, and you would have beat David. I'm convinced of that.
Oh, I know that, but I'm a bodybuilder. I can't throw a frisbee. I can't do so many other like normal basic skills that I never got. Like I never did that. I like became athletic as an adult, so I like missed out on like hula hooping and shit, kickball, all of it. Like I missed out on it. Like I don't have those skills. So
that's fair.
I do enjoy the fact that like anyone could do well here. If you were like, can you like throw me that over here? I would pick it up and walk it over, and I'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. So in turn, I do appreciate how it did give Catherine the opportunity to be successful. Best part though, she wins, and in the most Catherine way possible goes, yay. And we were all like, what's happening here? You just won. And she was like, I'm ecstatic. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but maybe that's why Riley's like, that's my way in. Because like, I just don't think she has the capability to emote. And I want to be like, blink twice if you're in trouble. Like, we'll come help you. Like, I don't know what's happening in there.
Yeah, it's very true. Honestly, it's Catherine got like Stockholm syndrome at this point. Like, I'm kind of worried about her because she's been stuck and you don't see her on the screen without Riley being there, right? Like, it's always Riley is in the shot with her. Penelope, that's enough. Thank you. And it's hilarious to me because I'm like, blink once or blink twice if you need help, right? Like, is there a real problem here?
Is she okay?
Because the whole season it's been she's not really into him, right? And now they're kissing. Now she's like apologizing to family and friends like she kissed the boy on TV. Like I'm convinced that there might be a Stockholm syndrome at this point.
I need to look at it from a production perspective and say the following. And I okay, don't hate me, everyone, but at the same time, 10, 15,000 people apply for every season. And we went with her. Like, my thing now is when I watch these shows, I'm like, okay, what about you made you pop, made you stand out? Because I've like done the whole auditioning thing where I've been through rounds and rounds of interviews. And like, there are people that are amazing that just like on screen, like don't bring anything. They don't like pop. They don't have the energy. And I'm like, what did you bring during auditions? Because we're not seeing it.
Oh, well, especially in your audition video, you need to have a little, upbeatness. You can't just be like, hi, my name is.
I want a veto. Yeah.
They want to don't skip that. But here's my question. And we see it with Survivor contestants. A lot of them can be very, very good through the audition process. But once they get out there, they're lacking food, they're starving, they're exhausted. They just don't have the energy to give a good confessional. But Big Brother, I'm sorry, you at least get Slop at the very least. Has she been on Slop almost every week? Do we know? Is that the problem? Are you just hungry and you just don't know how to deliver? Because this is the most we've seen of her.
I don't even know. Here's what I will say that I did appreciate about my own experience. And again, I don't know if I'm supposed to necessarily be saying this, but I assume the NDA is over. We're at our 1 year anniversary as of this week. So NDA is over. Don't tell everybody in America. Anyway, with that said, so when we got flown out to the Bankers Island, there were only 12 of us on the cast, but they flew out 17 or 18. They did final auditions and final interviews in person on that island. So there are people that were in the hotel room to the right and left of me that I heard. I came there with them, but I was never allowed to speak to. And they got flown home before we went to the island. So if you're out there and you're listening, I want to meet you. Like, they were there with us and we never got their names. We never got anything, but they went room to room and the producers talked with us and they had the final auditions like on the island there ready to go. That I'm like, we should do that more often. We need to do that again and be like, are you bringing what we think you're going to be bringing?
Yeah, it's still wild to me that they did final auditions right there on the island. Like, that's crazy to me. I will say that the casting director for Big Brother, it used to be Robin Cass. Now it is the same person that does the Survivor casting and pretty much all of CBS casting at this point. And I still do not enjoy that on Survivor. We get super fans, right? On Big Brother, we get maybe one or two. And I know super fans isn't everyone's cup of tea. I totally understand that. But I also want people that are competent enough to understand the game, that aren't just picking it up a week or two or a month before they actually play the game. I think that stipends a lot of gameplay. Now, I'm for recruits. Like, there are some recruits that have panned out and ended up being great reality TV. But when they lack in the confessional department or the diary room department, and then also lack because they don't have the game knowledge, they're just duds. And I would rather see more actual fans of the game or super fans or people like Vinny. Even though Vinny, sometimes we think of him as incompetent at times, he at least is playing the game and he at least knows this game and has been a fan for many years. Majority of this cast is very new to this show. And then you see people do things in the game that they just kind of sit back, relax, and don't even actually play the game. And I can't stand that. I'm cool with recruits if they're going to be a very entertaining, wacky character or someone that it's like very delusional, like a Keanu, right? Like a Keanu, I'm all about that. That's totally fine. But when you have people that are just not shown on our TVs and taking up airtime and taking up spots to people that want to be there, I just don't agree with that. And I really wish that they would do almost a half and half at this point. Because at this point, I feel like it's maybe a quarter of the people actually know the game.
I was an Instagram recruit. I'll say that. But
like I said, not all recruits are bad.
Not all recruits are bad. And I will always say this, that you cannot get recruited to be on a reality show. You can get recruited to audition to be on a reality show. I still had to go through every round of Zooms, every application, everything. I did not. They just recruited me to audition and make a video. And I got an extra round of phone calls and stuff like that. But other than that, I still had to do everything else. Bring back Lynn Spellman to Survivor. That is actually the woman that founded our dear friend and cast Johnny Hairplay himself. So you're not wrong. She did bring us some of the biggest personalities on CBS reality. So you are not wrong. She does great work and she did a lot of great work for a lot of years.
Now, Johnny is a recruit too. Don't get me wrong. Like, he was found at a gas station by Lynn Spielman, and he just ended up being one of these great reality TV characters that is going to go down in history. Even though, yes, we haven't seen him on our screen on Survivor in a very long time, people still know Johnny Fairplay to this day. When I go to my work and I say, oh yeah, I work for Johnny Fairplay, I have guests that are just, casual fans of reality TV. And they're like, oh, I know exactly who that is. That's crazy. And that's someone that I can relate to. But guess what? Johnny, when he knew he was going to get cast for the show, he had time to go back and watch every season of Survivor and pick up that knowledge. I don't know if it's a timing thing with these people or maybe the DVDs that they give them in the hotel room and they want them to see specific episodes or specific seasons, but they need to give them more time to prepare. Like, do final casting a month ahead of time, whatever it may be, and make sure these people grind on the content. Because I'm not opposed to recruits. I've said this a million times. I'm not opposed to it. But they have to be knowledgeable about the game enough to have a sense of how to play it. Because if they aren't knowledgeable about the game, it makes for lackluster TV moments. And honestly, it makes the show closer and closer to being irrelevant. It really does.
I mean, for Mickey, speaking of people who don't know the game, what are we going to do with my girl, Mickey? I just think that this is a missed opportunity. She was my winner pick just based on like the initial interviews. And number one, I take that back. But also, it's just what is she doing? I think after a rocky HOH, it's good to take a step back and be like, okay, let's blend and reset my game. But she took a step somewhere weird. She took a step in a weird direction all week. I feel like whenever we saw her this week, we were like, uh-oh, this is not going to go well at all. I don't know what to do with her. Is there still a viable shot for Mickey to win this game? And I know that it's early, but I feel like with certain players, you can be like, nope, there's literally not a single avenue that would allow this player to win a game.
Well, Mickey started off extremely strong. I said, all right, you're making good allies. People are loving you. They're vibing with you. I think what we have come across and we're running into here is when Mickey is speaking to other individuals, Mickey's not realizing how she's coming across to them. So you're making Ashley, who you need in this game, feel insignificant because you're saying, oh, don't worry, I'll get back to you after I check with other people. So that already tells me I'm hearing others. So that's at least 2 to 3 more people that I am below. I need to jump ship, which is exactly what Ashley needs to do after that conversation, because you know you are not in Mickey's top whatsoever from there. But just how the conversations have been going, Mickey just wants to have everybody and have the sole decision to make. And that's not flying with people now. And other people are talking and saying how they're feeling. And I think they're going to get ready to flip the script, dependent on who wins the next HOH.
They didn't give us the full Mickey meltdown this week on the show tonight. And I really hope that on the Sunday's episode, we kind of get glimpses of that, because it was way worse on the feeds than what we saw on our television screen tonight and throughout the week. Mickey is thinking that she's on top of the world and that no one can touch her. And she's gotten to the point where we saw a little glimpse of it tonight, where people are talking because she's acting like, oh, well, what my group decides what's going to happen, we'll fill you in on, and then you can go that direction. People aren't going to like that. And these are people that like Mickey and been working with Mickey and have no problem with her. But when they hear that, and when it comes across as, I will tell you what to do and you will go with that because that's what's best for you, no one's going to respect that way of playing, and no one's going to like it, because everyone's a hero of their own narrative, right? And everyone thinks that what they're doing is right for their game. So when they hear someone else tell them, hey, this is how you're going to play, and this is what I'm telling you to do, that's not going to fly. We saw what happened with Vince. Vince was in everyone's ear all throughout the season, trying to, play one-on-one with all these people and trying to control HOHs and all these side little one-on-ones. And, oh, you're my final two. You're my final two. Finally caught up to him this week. Now, he did a lot to bounce back and save himself this week. I think Mickey's kind of playing the Vince role middle of the season, and now it's really going to start to come back and bite her.
I think the major problem that we've seen with players like Jimmy and Mickey and a lot of the players that have been eliminated thus far, I guess I could even say Zach too, is that the key to doing well on competition reality TV. Okay, I say this with all of my experience anyway, but still, we've seen it for years and years, is you have to get past what you know about you and what you think about you, and instead be able to be like, what do other people think about me? How do they see me? Not how do I see me? Because like, I'm like, oh, I'm a star, I'm this, I'm that, or whatever else. And then after a while, you have to be able to take a step outside of it and be like, they don't think I'm a star here. They think that I'm really annoying, so I need to reel it in. And even if you're not, it's more about perception is everything. Like as a middle school teacher, I taught 3 different classes. And I was 3 different versions of Mr. Solomon, if that makes sense. And so like when someone would be in my room, they'd be like, you're not like that with us. And I'm like, because I don't have to be, because y'all listen to me. I don't know what to tell you. But like you have to be a different version of yourself to make the success of that room happen. And I feel like they are in this weird delusional place, Nikki right now, even more than anyone else, of me being like, do you know how you're coming off? Not necessarily what you're saying or even what you're doing, but how you're coming off to other people. Once you get that skill, you're good, because then you can just kind of be the you that the house needs instead of the you want to be.
The other issue I'm having is Mickey is not making eye contact with some of these people. People want to see your eyes. If they are not seeing your eyes, they know you are not with them. You have got to have that connection, because if you're not looking at me, I don't think you're interested or invested in what my thoughts and feelings are regarding the game. So that's the other part that Mickey needs to work on. Look people in the eye. Don't just stare off to the side of them. That's so hard to have a conversation with somebody doing that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Lauren. I think that's a huge factor as well. As like when you don't make eye contact with people and you don't feel like they're getting your full attention, then that's going to rub people the wrong way. Now, to another point that you said, Phillip, where you have to have a perspective of what other people are thinking about you. There's a great Boston Rob quote, and I brought it up before. His number one rule in the playing Survivor and playing any game is it's not what I think I am. It's what you think I am. Right. So you have to have the perspective of what other people think that you are, rather than what you think you are or what you think that you could be in their eyes. It's what they think you are. And I thought that was one of the greatest gameplay quotes of like how to play Survivor Big Brother reality TV that I had ever heard, because obviously we know Boston Rob is great when it comes to reality TV. We've seen him do it multiple times, but to have that understanding and that social awareness of, I need to know how you think I am in your perspective, and I need to be that person. That's the best way you can play any reality competition. And honestly, it works in multiple facets of everyday life, where I'm a bartender, and when I'm trying to work to make money, to make tips, I have to play to people's egos. And that's why I think, 1, everyone should always have to work customer service at some point in their life.
Agreed.
And then 2, that if I'm going to make money, I have to play up to your standards, right? I have to know what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And if, hold on one second, baby. And if you think that I'm coming across negatively or disrespectful, it's going to affect my money making ability. And I've done this for 20 years. I've worked in the service industry. So it's something you pick up, but not everyone has that life experience where they pick up that trait. And I think that they should have more people that come from a customer service or a background where you're involved with having to talk to everyday live people, and those would be the best game players in the house. That's just me personally, how I feel.
In coming into the week,
I'll be right back.
Ava was pretty under the radar, to the point where she wasn't even really picked for the HOH until last, because no one really saw her as a threat. My question to you, everyone at home, comments, and you, Lauren, do you think that there is any way that Ava can exit this week and still be kind of under the radar? Or is she like a full-on, like, she's a player, she's here to play now?
I think she's going to be okay, simply because there's other people having eyes on a Mickey, on a potential Morgan, and thinking that those two are still bigger threats than what Ava is. Will is going to have Ava's back till the end, if possible. So Ava has enough allies, I believe, locked in with her. If Rachel wins HOH, Ava's safe. Will wins HOH, Ava's safe. So Ava does have enough people still in this game that if they are to win, they are not going to put Ava up. I would even include Ashley in that piece as well. Who the heck knows?
I would also probably say Catherine, because they got along pretty well. And if Catherine maybe also silent mute Lauren, I don't know, but we could only infer.
And then, for instance, if Riley wins, Catherine could be in Riley's ear, and then Ava would probably be pretty okay there as well. So I think for now, even we could see, if say Vinny did win, maybe he doesn't put Ava up. I just think she's still in a good enough position to continue to progress further in this game. But if people are smart, Ava's the one you take out, because I think a lot of people want to sit with Ava probably at the end of this game because they believe they could probably out-talk Ava. They probably could out-strategize in the sense of making these more core game moves and win the game in the end sitting beside her. That's just what I'm thinking. I think Ava is around for the long haul because people believe that she is beatable.
People are also doing exactly what Ava wants, where they're thinking that she's a lesser competitor than what she really is. And realistically, we see in confessional, Ava's really running a lot of things through her head as she's really thinking about the game. But when they see Ava in person, they see someone that's very like, I'm sorry, I just had to do what I had to do. I actually love you, and she's saying the right things while telling us in the diary room what she's really feeling. And that's the best kind of Big Brother player, because give it to us in the diary room and then tell them what they want to hear. That's exactly what I want to see when I see a good, decent Big Brother player. I'm not saying she's great, but I'm saying she's a decent Big Brother player. And I think when it comes to her explaining her game later on, she could be very insightful to these people of what they missed because of how she gave off that vibe to those people. One thing I do want to bring up real quick is David Griffin in the chat. I thought this was a great thing he said too. They seem to be leaning towards an all-female final jury, and then Keanu, Vinny, and Riley in no particular order will be the next 3 out. That's totally possible, and I know that the house is kind of going in that direction. We've seen it kind of playing on the feeds that way. I do think there's going to be a lot of things that could affect that, especially if certain people get into power, where all it takes is a Keanu, a Riley, or a Vince to get into power, and then that could all go for nothing, right? Because then the whole house shifts. I'm with Knox Too Tall over here. Team Keanu. Keanu must win in HOH. I want to see that week play out.
I do. I think that I actually want to see Keanu. I'm always so enamored by their relationship with Rachel because I feel like either everyone loves her or everyone hates her. It's like such a weird dynamic where even when Zach picks her for that blue goo thing, I was like, I think he likes her, but like it's weird because they all kind of talk around her but not to her, and I think she's starting to feel that, and that was really the reason for her like blow up this week, which again annoyed me for 74 different reasons. There is nothing that is worse than put some respect on my name that I'm like, lady, listen, here's the thing. This is Big Brother in 2025. Like, I'm a firm believer in a brand new season. You start again. And for me, Rachel has not evolved enough with where the game is going in 2025 for her to be like, put some respect on my name. And we're all like, yeah, as in we know who you are. We know your husband. We know your story. But does that mean that you're any more significant than anyone else in this house? No. And they're right to be like, let's just keep her in the jury. That's not wrong to me. Why would you send her home now? But I do think, I think she will be very influential in the jury house. If it were me, I'd get out Rachel before jury, because I think if Rachel does not like you, she will ensure that everyone hears about all the bad things you've done, and she can sway a vote real quick.
Right. And I mean, Rachel is very persistent on who she likes and who she doesn't like. She will let you know. And the other fact of the matter is Rachel played in an era of time where it was basically half the house against half the house. There were two clear sides. We see it a lot of the time now with Big Brother. There's not necessarily two big clear sides that are clashing and who's going to win HOH, because this is going to be so exciting because now the other side has power this week. And that's what Rachel is used to playing, because she'd be on the block, win the HOH, floaters grab a life vest. It's just how the game was then. And you make a great point, Phillip, just saying the game has changed into something that it didn't used to be.
Yeah, I also agree with you guys. I think the game has changed. It's not what it used to be. As much as there was times where I was like, I hate the one-on-one or the two sides of the house going against each other. Looking back at it now and seeing how this game evolved, I miss that. I miss that dearly. And I miss the fact that it takes one person gaining power from the other side, and it's like, oh, we're flipping the house, a whole new ball game. Let's see who's going to grovel and who's going to try to, throw other people under the bus. Now there's really not any of that. There's not a lot of throwing under the bus compared to the old days, in my opinion. And I miss that about Big Brother. One thing I will say about Rachel is I think Rachel really needs to win some kind of power, and she needs to win it soon. She needs to show her worth in this game because, yes, we know what Rachel was 10 years ago. We don't know what Rachel is now. And from what we've seen almost halfway through the season, Rachel is not the same player when it comes to competitions as she used to be. And that's to be possibly expected. Age, all these variances that come into play. Rachel's still a great social player. And I say social lightly because we know how she could be at times. Don't get me wrong. But I say social as in she'll at least play the game. Right? She'll at least play the game and do what she has to do to make connections and then use those connections to further herself in the house. I mean, shoot, she's gotten this far being the only returnee. That's commendable. But I need to see her win some kind of power and have some kind of say in the house. Otherwise, I do think she's going to go early jury like they've been talking about all season.
I think what's weird is that she came in really thinking that she could float for a little bit on her reputation and her clout. And I was like, no, you actually just signed up for a house of Gen Z people that have no idea who you are, which is a little hilarious because we've already seen they haven't done their research. They haven't watched the show that much. And so in turn, like the big, we know who Rachel is, people are pretty much out at this point. And so now you're like, no, Rachel, these people are not putting some respect on your name because they just see you as another player. Like that's it. And it's very, that like viral video where Jennifer Lopez is walking by her old house and she's like, I used to live here. And that old man's like, who are you? And like, it's very much that like, it's not their fault, but they just don't know. And so in turn, she's like, but I used to live here. And they're all like, okay, grandma, go to bed. Like, it's a disaster. This is not good for Rachel. If you asked me, is this helping further Rachel's brand as a reality TV contestant or like for brand partnerships or whatever? No, I think this is hurting. I think this is hurting the brand, what she built for so many years. I don't think this is helping her.
We just need that one HOH win. I think that's just it. We need the one. Well, first of all, what it does, it solidifies and completely confirms the allies that she has in the house and who she's working with. And then they know that it's reciprocated from her end as well. What I will give her credit for doing is think about when people are down and hurting, who is consoling them? Rachel. Rachel was with Lauren at the end of this episode. We saw Rachel with Kelly during an instance. That can go a long way with people. People remember this. And they might remember those moments and said, no one else came, but Rachel came. So maybe there is some type of connection formed and built. And we saw it too with her and Keanu. He didn't owe her that, but he was just being a good, nice person in that moment. That could go a long way with Rachel.
See, and here's the thing. I do disagree with one thing, Phillip, where I don't think this is hurting her brand because the brand of Rachel has always been be loud and be proud chaos. Of it, right? Be chaos. And we've seen that. At least she's still giving us that, where we saw her go against Keanu at times. We've seen her go against Catherine on the couch, which I don't think she won that battle, but at least she was being entertaining TV. And
that was hilarious, though.
Exactly. I am set. And then
so good.
Also, we saw her this week go against Morgan in the pantry area where she's talking about her and she's like, no, you're not going to tell me what to do, all this stuff, right? Like we are seeing glimpses of old school Rachel that I don't think will ever leave because that's just Rachel being good reality TV. So I don't think it's necessarily hurting her brand because her brand has always been be bigger than life, be this character, be the one who's you're going to remember because of the fights and everything that we see. Now, the one aspect is if Rachel is bringing in this whole new audience that never watched her play Big Brother 12, Big Brother 13. Let's say post-pandemic people that have come onto reality TV now that it's on Netflix or what have you, Paramount Plus, they are now seeing Rachel on their screens for their first time live. And now they're going to flock to her Instagram channel or, whatever it may be. Even if she comes back to the podcast, our numbers might be back up again because, hey, we got Rachel Riley, who was just on our screens last season. It's not Rachel who played 10 years ago. So I don't think it's hurting her brand, but I do think that for her brand to be as big and the character to be as big as it was, she does need to win some things. And I think she knows this so that she has some kind of sway in the house and then use that sway to maneuver herself into a position to win. Because if she doesn't win anything all season, how does she expect to get the check in the end, right? She's got to win something. She's got to have some kind of say in this house.
This does not need to be a full conversation, but Keanu waking up in the middle of the night to make pigs in a blanket made me laugh out loud. Sorry, it does not. Like, we don't even have to discuss it. But whoever's in charge of costumes and punishments this week deserves a raise. I'll tell you that right now, because the sheer fact that there was like a shot of Vince on the floor in the egg, Keanu passing out snacks on his like ass hot dogs, while Rachel and Zach were outside getting squirted with blue goo. And I was like, this is insanity. Like, whoever was in charge is killing it right now. This is the moment that it all comes to fruition. So there's that. But in going in, okay, so you know me, I'm like, let's talk about things that could happen. Future us. Who do we hope personally is walking away with an HOH for this week? Go.
Lauren, go ahead.
I kind of want to see an Ashley HOH just to see what would happen, because I don't know what would happen. Is Ashley irritated with Mickey, decides to go against Mickey? Is Ashley sticking with Will? Like, what is Ashley going to do? Does Ashley put up a Lauren who no one has seen throughout the season ever? And I want to piggyback to something where we were talking about casting super fans. Lauren is a super fan, so sometimes it does not always hit.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. It's not every time that character type also hits. I agree. There are duds. There are duds on both. I just think that we get more gameplay out of the people that do know the game rather than our recruits. And that's all I have to say. That's my personal opinion. People might disagree with me on that, and that's absolutely fine. I just feel that that's the way I lean towards what I want to see on my television screen. Now, to go back to the question too, I'm leaning towards obviously a Keanu win just because I want to see all hell break loose. And I don't disagree with David in the chat when he says that Keanu could put up men on the block. So that is an absolute possibility. But I agree also, I do want to see a Kelly HOH would be great. I agree with an Ashley HOH could be completely batshit crazy. And I do want to see a Riley HOH just because I want to see Riley get the power that he had taken away from him and see what he does with that power. So there's probably like 4. Oh, and besides Rachel. So 5 people I want to see win HOH power. Everyone else in the house, I could care less. I really don't care to see Morgan. I really don't see, I want to see a Catherine or a Lauren win power because I think it's going to be rinse and repeat. So I think those 5, even though, yes, it's a lot of people to say, those 5 I would be okay with.
I would love to agree with you on the Ashley thing, but Ashley gets under my skin just like personally. She gives me, that first season of Sister with Tia and Tamara, it is giving me that forever. That I'm always like, I'm annoyed and I hate it. And I'm too old for these hijinks. I can only refer to them as hijinks. That's how big her reactions are. Then I'm like, you're a lawyer? You protect people from jail? Get out of here. Absolutely not. Anyway, sorry. So there's that. I am always a big proponent of, like, for me, I'd love to see an HOH from Vince or maybe Catherine, only because I am a firm believer that those players that love to play the middle, if you put them in a leadership role where they have to put people up, can't play the middle anymore. Like, they're going to have to name people and we're going to have to know where they sit. So, like, for me, if I was, let's say, Vince or Catherine, I would try and throw it, honestly, because, like, when you show your cards, that tanks the entire thing you've been doing so far. They've both been really good with everyone. So I would love to see someone that has been good with everyone actually have to like draw the line in the sand and say, now we're playing.
I only want to see Catherine win if Catherine puts up Riley. That's it.
I would live for that. That would be would be a win for America, for women. That would be a win for women. I'll say that right now. And that creeping mustache that I'm like, Ashley, that's the kind of man you would send to jail. But like, okay, cool, great. Easy.
How iconic though. Think about it.
Everything.
If this is
It would
the
be everything.
direction it's been going and Catherine wins and puts up Riley, maybe then becomes my favorite house guest on the season after
The whole time, honestly.
Yeah, seriously. That would be great television because he would spiral fine and then hopefully just get booted out the door. And I think everyone would be just floored seeing little Catherine, who talks so quietly, Riley, I've nominated you.
You
And the
said that
whole-
with so much more emotion than she's ever had in her whole life.
But could you imagine Ava's facial reaction to that? Because you know Ava is always having
The
a
thing
reaction.
that it always is.
I think
flowers, everything, everywhere, and I'm like, Ava, what's happening, baby? What's happening?
I think there's a 0.0% chance of that happens because why would you get rid of your shield? But I think at the end of the day, Catherine realized there's no chance I can get rid of him. Even if I am using him in a certain way, even though she starts kissing him, it's still very, very misleading. I just don't think it would actually happen. Even if she talks about it, I don't see it. One more thing I want to say. So, Lauren, this is your first time on the podcast, and we're about an hour in, so we should probably wrap up here soon. Lauren, who are you rooting for to win the game? Like, if there's one person, I know we're all kind of team Keanu, right? Like, we want to see Keanu do well, but is there anyone else besides Keanu who I think a lot of people would agree with are kind of rooting for at this point that you would want to see win this game?
I would 1,000% be very ecstatic if we got a Will win.
Fair.
I'd be very happy because I do think Will has some agency in this game. People like Will. You've seen that before with Will being up to be evicted from the house. People want to keep him. So I think he doesn't necessarily maybe need to get in power per se, because I think it's shifting. The game's shifting a little bit. It's not, all right, we're going to put up Kelly, Will, Keanu might still probably go up, but those two I think might be okay for now. I would be so happy to see Will win. An older contestant player, that would be fantastic, I think.
How about you, Phillip?
My initial thought was Ava, but now that I hear you say that about Will, I gotta go Team Lauren on this. I would love a Will win. I think that I just get scared because like he has not excelled at anything yet, so I don't know how we get there. He would have to win some competitions at some point and stop complaining about like his back. But I'll say that if we can get him there, I support a Will win, a Keanu win, or an Ava Pro win.
I like all of those. I really do like all of those. Obviously, I'm big team Keanu, so that's obvious. But I would say if there's one person I wouldn't mind winning outside of Keanu and probably Rachel, my top two, I would probably side with Vince. And I know that's kind of slimy and it's not the best. It's not going to be the most popular opinion, but I do like things that Vince does. And I do think he's aware enough to where he is at the house at times. Not always, but at times he does pick up on what he needs to do. That I wouldn't mind seeing a Vince win. I really wouldn't. I think that if he can turn his game around and really have some agency, that like he did week one, I think that things could go well for him, but he needs a lot of stuff to go right. And he needs to really kick it into high gear if that's going to actually happen. But I agree with your guys' picks. Now, one thing I do want to say before we get out of here, if there is a live competition, which it doesn't look like it's going to be tonight, but whenever there is, I plan to go live during that live wall competition, whatever it may be, right? I really want to make that happen. So anyone here is here watching after the fact or watching live right now, guys, when that happens, I will go live and watch it with you guys. I will just have it in the corner. We can talk about what we think, and the chat, I want you guys to go off and tell me what you guys are thinking about the competition, who you think is going to win. I just think it'd be a lot of fun. It's almost like watching a Twitch feed of someone watching the live competition, but we'll be here on YouTube watching it on Reality After Show. So when that inevitably does happen some point this season, hopefully not next week, because there's a chance I could have to work. I'm not sure, but hopefully not next week. But when that does happen, I really want to watch the live feed competition on my screen and chat with you guys here in the chat. And you two are more than welcome to join me when that does happen, whenever it does happen. But I think that would be a lot of fun to have an open discussion while watching it. But before we get out of here, any last words?
Yes, my friend Andy Sloan, that has he's responsible for seeing me on your television screen for 12 weeks. He is a casting producer, and he has just announced that he is casting the all-civilian version of Traitors. He just made that announcement 3 minutes ago. So here we are. You're getting it right here, brand new live. Hit him up on Instagram. The website just went live too. So if you are not a celebrity and you just want to do Traitors, here we are. We are doing it. They are casting it on NBC. The celebrity version will still be on Peacock, and a all-civilian version will be on NBC. That news dropped earlier. And let me get you the website while I'm here, because it's easy to remember and say out loud. Okay, ready? TheTraitorsUS.com. It is open and ready to rock. So for any of my civilians that have ever wanted to play, but you don't want to be on another show before that, Traitors is here for you.
All right, I'm typing it in the chat. So TheTraitorsUS.com.
Yes, sir.
All right, I hope I did that link right, but I'm going to put it out there for anyone who wants to check it out. It is in the comments there. That might be something I might look into. That'd be kind of fun. So let's see. Yeah, Lauren, any last words before we get out of here?
We live for some Traitors. I love Traitors. It's a fantastic show. I'm happy they're doing this. I think you could get a lot of great people, especially since they're not the celebrity version. Don't get me wrong, love the celebrity version, but this, I think, is really going to land for a show for them to continue for a decent amount of time. I am excited, ecstatic for OTEV. We get some OTEV next week. Here for it.
I love it. I love it. I'm hoping we get a live competition tonight. If we do, I will come back live and we will be discussing it in the chat and watching it live. If not, whenever it does happen, hopefully it does happen at some point. We'll get the wall competition at some point, but I would like it earlier rather than later. So with that being said, guys, check out all of our content here at Reality After Show. We have Gabe's Big Move that airs on Tuesday nights. Gabe does an amazing job. Now, Gabe, hopefully will be back with us next week. He had some work complications, but we love having Gabe here. He's got a lot to catch up on, because if he's not paying attention to what's going on, I'm not here to explain it to him. So like to explain, hey, there's a guy in an egg competition or a suit. There's a guy with a freaking big ass with making, pigs on a blanket. It's going to be completely over his head. So I hope he's staying with it. So check out Gabe's Big Move, where he goes over Survivor gameplay. Check out Johnny Fairplay's coverage of Naked and Afraid Apocalypse. He's doing that each and every week. They do great stuff over there. So go check that out. I'm trying to think what other shows I might be missing. I'm sure there's
get Australia versus the world this weekend, I believe.
Yes, Australia v. the World. We're going to have content on our channel. We're going to do live podcasts with Johnny and some others all about Survivor v. the World. So very excited about that. A lot of our favorites are going to be playing in that. So if you guys need help finding that, reach out to me. I'll be happy to give you guys what I know about how to find that content, because I know it's kind of hard with Australian Survivor where to find it. And with that being said, check us out next Thursday. We will be live here at Reality After Show for the Big Brother After Show, immediately following the East Coast airing of the broadcast. So that said, guys, we will see you next week. Have a great week, and hopefully we get a live competition soon. Bye.
Bye.